All right, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. Now, a year after buying Pornhub, its new owners, Ethical Capital Partners, say they're setting the example of how to operate in the adult website business, especially in avoiding scandals involving child pornography and non-consensual content online. And they say that over the past year, they have made significant progress, particularly in the area of security and privacy. Let's talk more now with Solomon Friedman, who is partner and VP of compliance at Ethical Capital Partners. Solomon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so I'm all for comparisons. I actually think it's quite fair, right? When you say, here's how things were, and here's how things are now. Before we get into the current issues, so why don't you make the case for our listeners that since buying it is the world's biggest pornography adult website, right? Pornhub. Since buying that website and those other properties associated with it, how have you made things better?
Yeah, so when we acquired what was then MindGeek, is now called ALO, which owns Pornhub and many of the other most popular online adult platforms, we did it with a commitment to trust and safety in mind. And what that means is ensuring that the content which appears is legal, consensual, and fully compliant. So why don't we talk a little bit about how we do that? And I think it'll actually come as a surprise to many of your listeners. One of our commitments that we made a year ago was to do this openly and transparently, which was really obviously a big change for an industry that people don't know a lot about and that often operates in the gray. But instead, we said, we're going to do this out front and publicly. So in fact, recently, over the past 2 weeks, we have been giving tours to media of our trust and safety system, which is interesting. You compare that, ask Google or Facebook what their trust and safety system looks like. You're going to get a lot of, vague answers. We wanted to show from beginning to end how seriously the platform takes trust and safety, which starts with the verification of the identity of every single uploader to the platform. You cannot upload anything to Pornhub unless your identity is confirmed using biometric, AI, and human means, including providing government documentation. And then every single piece of content is subject to machine moderation and then full moderation by a team of real live human beings, full-time employees, not outsourced, reviewing all content before it goes live. We are actually today, you want to do comparisons, the only video sharing platform, the only free video sharing platform on the internet that verifies the identity of every single person who appears in content, right? You want to post something on Facebook, on Twitter, on Reddit, you don't need to verify that you have the consent of people appearing in it. That's not how we do things.
So can I ask you, because it sounds outrageously expensive to go to the lengths that you're going to. Certainly, it's the reasons we hear from the Facebooks of the world and TikToks and that kind of thing as why they can't do that same type of content moderation. So are you telling me it's, is it actually cost effective and maybe these other guys, these social media players aren't telling the full story, or is it a very costly process here?
Well, it's both expensive but extremely cost effective, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. When I got involved, and I speak for the whole ownership group, when we decided to make this acquisition, we decided day one that you never make a trade-off between trust and safety and commercial success. In fact, one complements the other. My view is, and this I think is true whether it's an adult platform or a mainstream platform, people want to spend their time and share their content on a platform where they can be assured that it is safe, legal, and consensual, whether adult or not. So my view is by expending significant resources, and just to give you an idea, ALO, the company that we acquired that operates Pornhub and these other platforms, has about 1,400 employees. 20% of our workforce is full-time dedicated to trust and safety exclusively. That's all they do. Because I'm of the view, and I think the numbers speak for themselves, that people want to be enjoying experiences online, adult or otherwise, that are safe and where they can be assured of the safety of those experiences. So, I'd say in many ways, I think we're 2 or 3 years ahead of the curve. What the rest of the social media world is realizing is just how important trust and safety and moderation is to gaining the public's trust and building a successful platform. And I'll say this, we're very happy to lead the way. And in many ways, that's what we've been doing for the past few years, but I expect that's what we're going to be doing well into the future.
We're with Solomon Friedman, partner and VP of compliance at Ethical Capital Partners. So, Solomon, I'll give you all that. And Lord knows there are so many vices in this world, right? Tons of vices, and people make money on vices, and we could go through all of them. So sometimes I feel, oh, am I being too tough on your vice when there's all types of vices out there? But here's the thing, right, that I always lead back to. So you're making this case that you're doing it ethically and responsibly and with safeguards. At the end of the day, I sometimes feel I'm looking at an industry that isn't redeemable in the sense that, I could read titles of videos on your website. Certainly doesn't sound like something respectful to women. Some of the titles I'll see on your website. And I can't think any scenario where a parent says, oh, I would love for my son or daughter to end up in this industry. So how do we balance all that? Because I don't even know, like, all the safeguards, protections in the world, can you end up with a redeemable product? I'm not so sure.
Look, that's a great question. I look at it like this way. This is a platform that is by adults for adults. And part of having a free society is that we respect the choices of adults, and those choices include their expression, their sexuality, along a full spectrum, okay? The vast majority of our creators, those are the individuals who are producing this content and monetizing it, are women, okay? The era of the big studio porn is over. Individual creators without middlemen are the ones who are benefiting from this. So these are individuals who are making free decisions consensually because it's the work they want to do. And we fundamentally believe that sex work is work. It's work deserving of dignity, protection, and legal freedom. So I'm of the view that when it comes to adult sexuality, we respect a wide spectrum of it. And it might not be your cup of tea, might not be my cup of tea, but this is work. It's interesting. You phrase it as vices, and I understand why you do that, but this isn't just a vice. This is expression that the Supreme Court in Canada and in virtually every other Western liberal democracy has said is constitutionally protected. So not just legal, constitutionally protected. And the nature of expression is that my expression is going to look different from your expression. And adults are entitled to express themselves and enjoy that expression, obviously privately, legally, and consensually. And we're offering a platform for people to do that. That doesn't mean that your tastes are always going to align with the tastes of others. Now, very importantly, we set very strict limits, both in terms of the law, but also exceeding the law when it comes to our terms of service, to ensure that the content that's being depicted is not only legal, but also doesn't depict anything that's harmful or violates our standards. But we're not in the business of governing taste. We recognize that within the bounds of the law and our rules, adults can express themselves in ways that might be very foreign to other people, might be very comfortable. Remember, what's degrading to one person is empowering to another. And we allow the creators to create their own content, share those with an audience, and then enjoy the benefits of that on our platforms.
Solomon, listen, you present compelling cases, right? And I'm happy that over the last few minutes, we've allowed our listeners to think about the subject and make their own determination. Thanks so much for your time this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
That's Solomon Friedman right there, partner and VP of Compliance at Ethical Capital Partners.